winning this fight tonight with our name lit up in lights. We're the new kings, winning this fight tonight with our name lit up in lights.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. When tangy Southern-style sauce and slaw meet a bacon cheese Whataburger, you get the Southern Bacon Double Burger. 2 patties, bacon, cheese, pickles, onions, and slaw on a 5-inch bun. Back for a limited time at participating locations.
It is week number 8 of this high school football season, and this is Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans here inside the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco as we get you set for not only Friday night, but also tonight, Thursday night football, as well as we've got a full slate of games as usual this week. And as we are at week 8, that means, Kyle, that we are like less than a month away from the postseason, too.
See, and this is where you start seeing a lot of these games that are de facto postseason games. You win, you're in. You still got to take care of the rest of your schedule along the way, but there are a lot of games, especially tomorrow, that are going to decide districts. That's how close we are, Bill. We're starting to see who these teams are, what they're made of, and which programs are real and which ones are trying to be real.
Okay, and we're going to start off with a couple of teams that are real right now and have been real in the past. At least one of the teams. The other one's too new to be real in the past. Class Whataburger Game of the Week, Class 5A. It's District 3 5A Division 2. Those Emerson Mavericks from Frisco ISD against the Argyle Eagles, who have been perennial powers in 4A, now up in 5A. We're state semifinalists last year in 5A.
Yeah, and Argyle has been that perennial power like you talked about. But I would say Frisco Emerson is real. They've started 7-0 in the last 2 seasons. They're different this time around. Losing that game against Argyle last year, 24-10, was their first program loss at the varsity level. And this is their biggest test again after starting 7-0. Again, Michael Hawkins, of course, the OU quarterback, is the real deal. 25 touchdowns, 0 interceptions this season. He has been absolutely incredible. Got to see him and Kylan Evans, the Texas State pledge at wide receiver last week in their big win over Memorial. The way he controls the offense, he controls it with poise, he controls it with confidence, and he's able to spread out the ball with his weapons. Speaking of weapons, Argyle still has that. Don't be fooled after their 0-2 start. They've won 3 straight. They had an injury at the quarterback position last week. John Gailey got hurt. That momentum maybe stifled a little bit, but McGuire Gasperson came in, did a great job in relief, went 15 of 20 passing, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns last week in their win against a really good Lake Dallas team that at the time was undefeated. They'll look to try and upend an undefeated foe in back-to-back weeks and really establish themselves back at the top of District 3 5A Division 2.
You know, Frisco Emerson scoring 422 points on the season. They are averaging 60 points per game. Yeah. And as you point out with Argyle, the last 3 games after a rocky start against some really good teams, they have found their form here in the last month and averaging 56 points a game the last 3 games.
I think this is going to be a shootout, not because either one of these defenses are poor, but I think these are 2 of the best offenses, especially at the 5A level in the area. Emerson's season low, this is their worst offensive performance of the year. 41 points. They've still put up 40 points in each of their games this season. It's been fantastic to watch the Mavericks do what they've been doing. But if they're going to really establish themselves as a power and keep that number 2 ranking only behind Melissa, they're going to have to get a win against Argyle this week.
All right, let's climb up to Class 6A in District 5, 6A, our second game of the week, as the Allen Eagles, 4-2 on the season, travel to McKinney to take on the Lions, who are unbeaten on the season.
Yeah, battle for District 6 5A. And that's fun to talk about because this McKinney Lions team has been good over the last couple of years, but they've relied on the ground and the pound throughout this season to start 6-0. They're 3-0 in district play, but this is their biggest opponent since they defeated Longview back in week 1. That was a 23-21 win where they really relied on Bryson Jackson. The USC pledge is back and healthy. He returned last week against Braswell with 98 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and that was really just playing the first half of action. On the other side for Allen, this is a chance for the Eagles to reestablish themselves. They've won 3 straight games, but they've outscored their opponents 138-23 over those last 3. Things start to get tougher down the stretch for both of these opponents. Allen has McKinney, Geyer, Prosper in their next 3. They're going to rely on their ground game as well. Amir McDowell is the guy that leads the charge on the ground, 472 rushing yards this season. This game might be played over the span of like 90 minutes. I mean, it's going to be running the football, moving the chains, getting downfield, long sustained drives. I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
And of course, Allen has made long playoff runs in the past, and McKinney made it 3 rounds deep into the playoffs last year, a regional semifinalist team. All right, Class 6A again, and we're looking at District 10 6A here as the Rockwall Yellow Jackets playing host to an unbeaten North Forney team that has been quite a story this season. After going 3-7 last year, they're 6-0 this year.
Yeah, I want to talk about North Forney in a couple moments, but Rockwall is where you have to start because their high-flying offense is off the charts again for the Yellow Jackets. That jacket fight, it never dies. It never, ever does. They're 6-1 on the season, 3-0 in district play. Season low, 35 points last time out against Horn, but they're 5-0 since the 60-59 thriller loss against Jesuit back in week 2, I should say, of the season. They've run a 2-quarterback system all year long with Landon Locke and Mason Marshall that has worked tremendously. 2,500 passing yards between the two of them, and they've run that offense like a well-oiled machine throughout the season with the long ball, running game, you name it, Rockwall has done it. North Forney has been the surprise, like you said. This is a team that had just 3 wins last year. They were 3-7. They've turned around. They've won 6 games already this season. And this is a team that used to be known whenever they were winning and going to the playoffs. The Falcons were known as the high-flying passing attack. Now they're slowing teams down. Just 75 yards allowed over the last 3 games through the air. So the fact that North Forney is where they are is impressive. They're going to have to continue that air raid defense of Rockwall in that 2-quarterback system. They hope to stay undefeated.
And North Forney winning a couple of tight games the last couple of weeks over Royce City, 33-26, and Mesquite Horn, 20-16 a couple of weeks ago. And down in Class 4A, how about this matchup as District 7 4A Division 1, Wilmer Hutchins. We featured them a couple of times here in recent weeks. They're taking on a big challenge here as they travel to Salina to take on the unbeaten Bobcats.
Yeah, Salina's fantastic, one of the top teams in the state for good reason. But Wilmer Hutchins has a chance here to make things interesting. I mean, District 7 4A has been one of my favorite districts to watch. Salina has been the front runners. Of course, Panther Creek up there as well. The Bobcats have put up 70 or more points in their last 2 games each. Yep. 70 and 72 points. They've only allowed 2 points in those 2 games combined. At the same time, too, it was a safety at some point in the ball game to Carrollton Ranchview. That's it. 2-headed running back attack has led the way for Salina. Logan Gutierrez, Harrison Williams, both of which have had at least 400 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns each on their season. But watch out for the upset-minded Wilmer Hutchins Ball Club. They rebounded after their loss to Panther Creek with a big win last week, 50-14. Blowout at Carrollton Ranchview. They had 566 total yards. I like Tamaje McMillan at quarterback. He's had 4 touchdowns and an interception. Last week, he had 216 yards through the air, but he can run it as well. That mobility is going to be something that Salina has been challenged by in the past. I think this is going to be a tight game, but the Bobcats, they may just be too much for this Wilmer Hutchins squad, but watch out for the fight from that team.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of Friday Night Stars. Next up, it's the Showdowns at the Star this week. We're featuring Frisco ISD when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. What's better than Whataburger? How about more Whataburger? Download the Whataburger app and start earning points toward free food with Whataburger Rewards.
Time for the Showdowns at the Star, Thursday night and Friday night. Tonight it is Pinkston getting a chance to play at the Star in Frisco against those Panthers from Panther Creek High School. And on Friday night, Kyle Youmans on the call as it will be Independence High School against Memorial High School. both those teams looking for a district win there.
Yeah, they both need one. And Independence coming off of a big win last week against Carrollton Creekview, their first win of the season, a team that won 8 games a year ago, still trying to find that footing with rezoning and learning how to maneuver through the districts. Memorial on the other side, they've got some pretty good tailbacks. They can run the ball significantly, Brandon Tolis being one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Memorial Warriors get their first win of the year.
All right, well, let's check in on that one of those Thursday night teams. That would be the Panthers of Panther Creek High School.
I think when we very first opened the school, we had a bunch of kids coming from Lone Star, Memorial, Stafford, and Trent, and just all these people coming in together as one. And so one of the things I think was really cool that we did, we gave the kids a lot of input, and it really helped lay the foundation what we want our program to be about. And they came up with the Creek values. And so, character, relationship, effort, execution, and knowledge. And we kind of base everything we do, whether it be in practice, in the classroom, in the community, come back to those core values, what we think is really important. I think if we do those things, winning football games will take care of itself.
Spring of my sophomore season, like right before the school opened, we came up with these Creek values as like a team: character, relationships, effort, execution, and knowledge. So that's kind of what we founded our athletics program on.
Last year they're battle tested. We had to go and play a season without seniors, but I'm super excited for the success that they've had this year and looking forward to a great regular season and hopefully into the playoffs.
Got really good receivers, and Bigs are doing great and putting up a lot of points this year.
Since we didn't have any seniors last year, we're returning all of our players. We've all developed in the weight room. We've grown together, so we're really becoming a family and having that bond.
Panther Creek defense has come a long way from last year, and we're really buying into Coach Wilson, what he wants for us, to swarm, and that is just an acronym for 11 guys playing as one.
We're having a little bit better record than we had last year in non-district. The expectation is still the same, and that's to improve every single week. And this year we really feel like we're in an opportunity to be able to really truly compete for a district title.
Panther Creek getting a chance to play indoors here at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco tonight. And Kyle, how about the matchup, the Frisco Raccoons against the Heritage Coyotes tonight at Kirkendall Stadium here in Frisco?
I can't wait for that one. I've got to hit in the car and get over there. That's our Frisco ISD game of the week, so I'm in a hurry here in a couple moments. But I really like this matchup because the Coyotes are a team that has won some games throughout the season. I mean, this is a team that really gets off to a hot start, and they don't look back. They rely on their quarterback and some weapons outside. Frisco, on the other hand, still trying to find their rhythm in the spread offense. I mean, this is a Frisco Raccoons team that ran the wing tee for years at a time, and now they've transitioned into the spread. Sophomore quarterback Coben Harbert has been out the last few games, still questionable on whether or not he'll play against Heritage tonight, but it should be a fun matchup either way. Looking for the chess match between Coach Harbert and then Heritage and what they bring to the table with Coach Gilchrist as well.
All right, when we continue here on Friday Night Stars, we go into the private school ranks, and one of the private powers in DFW, that would be Parish Episcopal.
This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. If you're a Whataburger shake fan, I have 2 words for you: banana pudding. That's right, the Whataburger Banana Pudding Shake is back on the menu, but only for a limited time.
Check this out as we take a look at some private school key players in the area. Look at the battle for the DFW private school, the TAPS rushing title. Maddox Reed from Parish Episcopal, a transfer from South Lake Carroll, has a narrow lead by 2 yards. You got a 695, 693, 657, and 630. What a rushing title race we have here, Kyle Youmans.
Hey, and don't count out Caden Collins from Prestonwood either with 591. I mean, there's so little breathing room in a race like that, and it's a literal race. I mean, it's a rushing title, right? So they're all racing to the finish line. But I'm excited to see how this turns out because one game, that's all it takes. One game and a bad stat line, bad box score, and then all of a sudden you're passed up by the guys next to you. That's what it's going to take to win that rushing title at the TAPS level.
All right, what's it going to take for Parish Episcopal to win another state championship? Let's check in on that Parish Episcopal team now.
They are ranked #1 in Texas. They are our Parish Panthers.
We're
good. You know, like you said, first win definitely boosted morale. Got a big game this week, so we're all amped up, excited for that. So I think it's definitely climbing, and as we get more and more wins, it should go up.
Well, it's definitely rewarding, you know, after knowing that you've put in a lot of work and then having a disappointed start that we've had. It's good seeing the work that we've put in come to fruition.
I think a lot of people don't think as private school sports is something that's really competitive, and I think Coach just putting us in that tough schedule shows that we can go out there and compete. We did that last year. We played a great record against those great teams. This year we put up a fight against a bunch of good teams as well. And I think it just shows that we could play. You know, we don't have all the kids in the program, but we can definitely ball.
Well, hopefully they'll be battle tested. You know, the fear is you get a bunch of guys banged up and injuries, which we got going on right now. But, you know, it kind of is what it is at this point. So hopefully we get a bunch of other guys ready to play that can go out there and do it.
Well, they really get us prepared for the season, and just knowing that private school teams can hang with these big public school, you know, these big powerhouses in Texas high school football, it just really shows what we can do.
I think anytime you get the momentum's it's hard to describe, but it's definitely a real thing. When the momentum comes, you know, hopefully you get going with that, and it keeps building on itself.
Just to win a championship in general is good, but to go 5 straight, not many people in high school sports, and especially in Texas, have done that. So, you know, that'd be a great feeling.
Oh, it definitely fuels us, especially us new guys that have, you know, come into a program that's been running. We really want to carry on that legacy and finish the job.
Each one every year is special. So, I mean, I don't look at it as how many. It's this year, winning it this year is what we want to do.
Yes, they play on that blue field there at Parish Episcopal, led by the quarterback Sawyer Anderson, who is the grandson of the great Donnie Anderson, the Golden Palomino, who starred at Texas Tech and with the Green Bay Packers. But they have other players, too.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And Sawyer Anderson has a chance to go 4 for 4 with 4 state championships. And the big thing for Parish Episcopal is the fact that they started the season losing some really tight games. To Aledo on one week, they lost 50-35. Bel Air Episcopal, they lost 27-20. South Oak Cliff got the better of Parish, 49-14. But then you rebound with reigning state champion China Spring. You get a win over Bishop Lynch, and now those wins are starting to domino into each other. And you can even hear from the players themselves saying that confidence is building. This is a team that's been there, done that at the TAPS Division I level. They are primed and ready to make another run, trying to get back to Waco and have another championship won, which, of course, Coach Novikov at Parish has done a phenomenal job building that program from the inside out, and with the athletes that they have, they could certainly do it again.
And you can tell it by the numbers there at Parish Episcopal, what they are doing offensively. Total yards, 4th in the area, and passing the football, nearly 1,600 yards passing and over 800 yards rushing.
Well, and even with the rushing leaders and the team guys, you talk about Maddox Reed, the transfer and what he's done. This is a Parish team that is used to having leaders at the top of the board. I remember Andrew Paul a couple years ago. He was a Landry Award finalist, and what he brought to the table from a rushing standpoint was unbelievable, put up great numbers. So even though you have a 3-star commit to Purdue at quarterback and Sawyer Anderson, it's the guys around him, that offensive line, the trench work that has always been fantastic, and their pass rush gets after it too. So as long as we're giving flowers to the offensive side of the ball, you got to mention what they do defensively as well.
And we're going to the Class 6A ranks when we come back and wrap up Friday Night Stars in a moment. How many of our local teams are in the top 10 in the state of Texas in 6A?
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. The buttery, flaky Whataburger jalapeno cheddar biscuit that you know and love is back. If you don't know it, well, it's here for a limited time only at participating locations, served 11 p.m. to 11 a.m.
Who are the top 10 teams in Class 6A in Texas? Well, according to Dave Campbell's, how about Duncanville plays DeSoto in a couple of weeks. What a game that's going to be. South Lake Carroll coming off a 56-10 win over previously unbeaten Keller, and North Crowley.
How about that?
Yeah.
I like that with North Crowley down there at the number 9 spot. I mean, good for them getting back up there. Could you expect to see the Duncanvilles and the DeSotos and the South Lake Carrolls?
Austin, Westlake,
North Shore,
Atascocita.
I mean, so many of those traditional powers North Crowley deserves to be in the top 10. They've had a phenomenal season.
And not only North Crowley, but Crowley also. You talk about a matchup there when North Crowley and Crowley meet. And more games to watch here. Duncanville's playing Mansfield this week. Weatherford against North Crowley. Weatherford's having a nice season. How about Keller and Byron Nelson and Midlothian Heritage and Ennis?
Yeah, I want to talk about Byron Nelson for a quick second. That is a high-flying offense. I can't wait to see them put up another 500-plus yard outing.
They need to be featured here on Friday Night Stars. They got a big one coming up with South Lake Carroll soon. We'll see you next week.